Recently, he begged for amnesty, and the caliphate granted him amnesty. Then, he turned around and started saying to the caliphate Nigerian government that militants who have accepted amnesty are not prisoners and should not be treated as such. Edwin Clarke went to school and got some education. Why has he not bothered to pick up a dictionary and look up the meaning of the word amnesty instead of making a fool of himself? It is that simple. Even General Ojukwu, former head of state of Biafra, was deceived by the House of Fulani Yoruba oligarchs and the Sokoto Caliphate. They sent Chuba Kadibo to Ivory Coast to convince Ojukwu to come back to Nigeria and promised him president of the Senate if he joined the NPN. He came back to tumultuous welcome by the people of Biafra. Prominent leaders in Biafra literally begged him for days not to join any political party, talk less the House of Fulani Yoruba NPN. He refused. He joined the NPN. He contested for the Senate seat in his home constituency of Nnewi Onitsha. Note that Ojukwu could have easily and handily won in a free and fair election any post against anybody in any part of Nigeria. But he lost to an unknown Edwin Onwudiwe of the NPP. He didn't actually lose. The House of Fulani Yoruba leaders in his own political party, the NPN, arranged the rigging of the election and made sure that Odumegwu Ojukwu would lose to the candidate from another political party, and he lost. House of Fulani Yoruba leaders of his own political party made sure that he lost the election after they had promised him Senate presidency and urged him to run. Alex Ekweme, a very well-educated man and a good technocrat, was the vice president of Nigeria during the Shehu Shagari 1979 to 1983 administration. He was such a good vice president and good administrator. Everyone expected him to be elected president at the end of the Shagari second term. But the House of Fulani Yoruba oligarchs and the Sokoto Caliphate would never allow that to happen. Few months into the Shagari second term as president, the House of Fulani Yoruba oligarchs and the Sokoto Caliphate organized a coup and terminated the Shagari government. Before the coup, they fully briefed Shehu Shagari of their intention to organize a coup and end his government. They all agreed that it be done. Of course, Ekweme was not told what was coming. So, he just kept on being a good servant. Then Buhari and his collaborators organized the coup. They put Shagari in house arrest in his own house in Sokoto village. They dumped Alex Ekweme, the vice president of Nigeria, in Kirikiri prison with armed robbers, murderers, and other common criminals. When they finally released him, he still kept on talking about one Nigeria. Imagine this man. Recently, he gave an interview where he described what happened when Obasanjo, who was not even qualified to be a candidate of the PDP, out of nowhere was forced on the PDP as the presidential candidate in 1999. When he, Alex Ekweme, the man who organized G34 to oppose the dictatorship of General Abacha, and who had been tipped as the sure presidential candidate of the PDP, was illegally pushed aside. Ekweme had signed memorandum of understanding with the caliphate that if he became president, he will do whatever they wanted. Shocking. He also admitted that he knew that Obasanjo was not even qualified to contest the primaries of his party, talk less the presidency. He knew that. He knew that Solomon La was manipulating the party secretariat and lying to INEC to put unqualified Obasanjo in as the caliphate's candidate. He knew that. He knew that he had been illegally pushed aside by the caliphate. He knew that. He knew that when the caliphate and the Hausa Fulani Yoruba oligarchs were doing was illegal, unconstitutional, unjust, and criminal. So, what did he do? Now listen to Alex Ekweme in his own words. Quote, eventually, I decided that my keenness to serve Nigeria, and to make it a better place for my children and my children's children should not blind me to the fact that Nigeria would have to exist first before we can serve it, and that I, after all the struggle, would now, because of my own personal ambition, set the country on fire and prolonged military rule would be an unforgivable act of selfishness. And so, I decided to allow it and support Obasanjo, hoping that he would appreciate all these sacrifices and understand, because he did not know how the party was formed. End quote. Ha! Along. As a full-blooded Biafran, how do you feel after listening to one of your leaders talk like this? Ekweme is a lawyer. He knows what it means when something is illegal, unconstitutional, criminal. Whatever happens to, this is illegal, this is unconstitutional, this is criminal, I will not accept that. Why couldn't he stand up for what is right, what is legal, what is constitutional, what is just? Why? This pattern of reasoning is typical of the people we have called our leaders for a long time. Alfred Diete's piece, Aton Zeribe, Okadigbo, Ike Nwachukwu, Okpadi Ashika, Okoya Rikbo, Ogbemudia, Anini, Ogomudia, Ofonagoro, Kanu, Okonjo-Iweala, Idika Kalu, Eziife, Ahigbe, David West, Kalu, Dafinone, Iwu, Nwosu, Duke, Ibori, Nnamani, Ejo, etc., etc., etc. There are too many. We ask you all, what has serving the interest of one Nigeria brought to you and your people? It has brought slaughtering of hundreds of thousands of our people all over Nigeria, seizure of our land, mineral and water resources, loss of our freedom, denial of our right to manage our own resources and elect our own leaders, unprecedented injustice, destruction of our schools, colleges and universities, destruction of commerce and trade in our homeland, joblessness, mind-boggling poverty, enslavement of our people, etc., etc., etc. This is our harvest from a bunch of so-called leaders who refuse to speak truth to Trani and to do the right thing, which is tell our people that one Nigeria is not working for us. Indeed, that one Nigeria is poison for our people. Compare these people with people like Dr. Akanibiam, who told the Queen of England to her face that she was committing genocide by supporting the killing of Biafran babies through starvation, and quickly renounced the knighthood conferred on him by the Queen of England. Dr. Michael Okpara stood firmly against the injustice Nigerian jihadists were visiting on Biafra. So did Eniyo Akpan, Frank Ugbot, Chief Ekukinam Bassi, Okoko Ndem, Colonel Nsudo, Chukwuma Nzogwu, James Udafia, S.E. Imoke, Philip Effiong, Frank Opigo, Odumegwu Ojukwu, etc., etc., etc. Youths of Biafra, the lesson for us all is that it is better to do the right thing. Stand up for principle. Stand up for your rights, your freedom, justice and liberty, than to collect bags and bags of money from your persecutors, the Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba, and the Sokoto Caliphate. 200 years from now, children born in Eastern region will tell you who Okoko Ndem was, who Odumegwu Ojukwu, Michael Okpara, Akanibiam, Philip Effiong, Jomo Bomo, Henry Oka were.